Ahead on Q2, surviving a health scare.
But this was different, and I knew that something else was going on there.
Billings' top crime fighter forced to the sidelines last summer after suffering a sudden heart attack. We're hearing from him about that for the first time. Plus, a terrifying accident, all caught on camera. A truck loses control in Carbon County, barreling through an accident scene and bouncing off cars, including a sheriff's patrol vehicle. And ski for light.
Well, we love the outdoors. This is a way to get to do it and do it safely.
A Montana nonprofit making sure those who are blind or visually impaired can still hit the Montana slopes. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Well, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Russ Riesinger. February is Heart Month, putting the focus on heart disease, the leading cause of death for both men and women in the United States, responsible for 1 out of every 5 deaths. And often, people have no idea they're at risk until something catastrophic like a heart attack or stroke happens. That was the case for Billings' longtime police chief, Rich St. John, who suddenly suffered a heart attack last summer. We're hearing from him for the first time about that experience. July 7th is a day that Billings Police Chief Rich St. John will never forget, and not just because it's his birthday.
I had no idea I had an issue until I had an issue.
The chief had been headed to Red Lodge with his wife when his life took a sudden turn. He experienced what felt like significant cramps in his upper chest.
And I think everybody can relate with, aches and pains and a twinge here and there, but this was different. And I knew that, something else was going on there.
Something as serious as a heart attack.
Because you hear the saying, a lot of people, their first heart attack's their last heart attack because they ignore the signs. And I was fortunate enough to be able to, to get to help relatively quickly.
Chief St. John would undergo double bypass heart surgery. It's something this 44-year-old law enforcement veteran and former Rocky Mountain College football player never thought would happen to him.
It took a little while to get over that. I mean, and still, it's like, that happens to other people, not to me, because up until that point, had no issues.
But it happens to more than 800,000 Americans every year. Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. The main risk factors include high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, obesity, and being overweight, and a lack of physical activity.
This one medical instance at the catastrophic end could have been fatal. But on the other end, it's like, I'm getting a message here that, let's watch our diet. Let's make sure we continue to exercise. Can always stand to lose a few pounds, so let's do that.
After about 2 months at home recovering, the chief was cleared to return to work with no restrictions. He says another thing that stands out from the experience is the support shown to him and his family afterwards.
It was so humbling and so appreciated. I can't even explain it to you.
A close call, but a happy outcome.
It's a wake-up call on how truly mortal you are. Well, the chief was very fortunate that he was able to get to the hospital quickly. Signs of heart attack can often include chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, and dizziness. A Billings man who was charged with sexually assaulting a child in late January now faces new allegations that he molested 2 girls at the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. 34-year-old Timothy Allen Westervelt was charged today in Yellowstone County District Court with felony and misdemeanor offenses related to child sexual assault. Prosecutors allege both girls reported that Westervelt touched them sexually while he was an employee at the Youth Treatment Center. If you remember, Westervelt was first arrested in late January following a standoff in Livingston where he barricaded himself in a Starbucks armed with a handgun. That time, he was charged with similar offenses involving a 13-year-old child. Westervelt has identified himself to Q2 News as a member of the Yellowstone Militia, a group that is said to be dedicated to constitutional militia. He's being held in the Yellowstone County Jail. Well, traveling in Montana winters can be a challenging experience. This next video proves just how dangerous it can be. Take a look here. This was the scene yesterday between Roberts and Boyd.
cars losing control and wind causing 0 to very low visibility conditions. When preparing to close that road for most of the day, deputies came upon a 2-vehicle crash with the cars on the opposite sides of the road. As deputies were having one driver sit in their patrol car for safety, a northbound truck traveling at around 55 miles per hour loses control, hitting one of the stranded vehicles, then careens into the patrol car. Fortunately, the county undersheriff, who was getting equipment out of the driver's side door, escaped just seconds before the accident occurred. The sheriff's office says one driver was taken to the hospital, but all escaped without serious injuries. The Carbon County Sheriff says this showcases just how quickly conditions can change in the winter months.
Definitely need to be careful outside. We have more windy weather ahead, but as the temperatures rise, that'll reduce how much blowing snow that we have, so it won't be as big a concern down the road, but we still have a lot of wind in the forecast, as well as some other changes. Today almost felt spring-like, and spring starts 1 month from today. Overnight tonight, seasonably chilly, not as cold as it has been. Blustery and seasonable on Friday. We'll also have more wind as well as more melting snow going forward. Our 7-day forecast with all the changes coming up.
Well, traffic was slower through the downtown Billings area today as the Billings Police Department reported a large water main break along 6th Avenue North last night. That break partially flooded that road from North 29th Street to North 31st Street, along with 4th Avenue North in the same area. Traffic was down to 1 lane this afternoon due to standing water and ice. Crews began repairs of the water line this morning, and they're expected to finish up this afternoon. And with the weather warming up, the city is warning that flooding is even more likely as the snow begins to melt. Billings officials say you can reduce the flood risk by checking for and removing any obstructions in gutter lines. They also ask that residents help in clearing storm drains if at all possible. Lastly, they say to protect your property by using sandbags and guiding the melting snow away from your home and towards the drains. In international news, Hamas released the bodies of 4 hostages today. Among them are the remains of the Bibas family, a 30-year-old mother and her 2 sons. Hamas claims the family died during an Israeli airstrike. Well, Scripps News' Maya Rodriguez delves into how they became a symbol of the youngest hostages taken during the October 7, 2023 attack.
Their photos became a symbol of the hostages held in Gaza. The Bibas family, Mom Shiri, then 30 years old, and her 2 sons, 4-year-old Ariel and baby Kafir, then 10 months old. Then there's the video taken by Hamas, showing Shiri clutching her 2 sons during their abduction. The 2 children among the youngest of the 30 children kidnapped by Hamas during the October 7th attack. Their father, Yarden Bibas, also kidnapped by Hamas. During his time as a hostage, Hamas told Yarden that his wife and children had died. They eventually released him earlier this month. During the 16-month war, the fate of Shiri and her children weighed heavily on many, but no more so than on relatives of the Bibas family.
I received on my phone the video of my cousin, a video that the terrorists took.
Shiri's cousin, Ifat Zieler, spoke to Scripps News just weeks after the Bibas family's kidnapping. Her concern evident for 4-year-old Ariel and 10-month-old Kafir.
He just started to crawl. He's just started to eat mashed bananas and apples and soup. Ariel, the 4-year-old, is an amazing boy. He enters the room and everything stops because he needs to be the center of attention.
Now, though, the attention is for all the wrong reasons. A story with a heartbreaking ending for one young family. Maya Rodriguez, Scripps News Group, Washington.
It was a few scary moments at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport last week. According to Airport Police Chief Bill Dove, a man who lives near the airport walked out of his house and fired 7 rounds from an AR-15 in that direction. That shooting, which happened last Wednesday, hit 2 hangars at the far east end of the airport and the National Guard Armory building. No one was inside the buildings at the time. One private jet was also damaged. Now, MTN confirmed that the man that fired those shots later committed suicide. No other details have been released. From Showdown to Red Lodge, hitting the slopes is an activity that many people enjoy in the winter. However, for our disabled population, it's not always easy as grabbing your skis and taking a road trip. But now a nonprofit in Montana is helping those with blindness or low vision still enjoy what the Treasure State has to offer. In our Positively Montana, Haley Monaco met with some members of the group who are still gliding from their recent ski trip to West Yellowstone.
The mission of Ski for Light Montana is to teach and help individuals who are visually impaired cross-country ski. And those people involved in this group say it's one of the best things they can do.
So I went blind in 2004.
I had a brain tumor when I was 7.
Whatever journey got them here.
After having 4 strokes 18 months ago, I can't drive. I can't ride a bike.
The strides they take with Ski for Light Montana are unbeatable.
I thought that my world revolved around my 3.8-mile radius that I could walk. And this, I can't say how it feels.
Every winter, participants and guides take a 3-day trip to West Yellowstone.
This program means everything just to get out of Billings.
So it's always fun.
Looking back on some memories of trips, Ski for Light guide Patrick Joyce has been involved since 1989.
There's a lot of fear, especially when going to the first Ski for Light, because they'll be on skis. Maybe they've never ever been on skis.
Guiding through the nerves in whatever terrain the participant feels comfortable with.
We always learn to roll and fall, sit, left and right. For me, it's the reward of being able to see success.
It was truly one of the most fulfilling things I've ever got to do.
It costs about $500 per person for the ski event, and they rely on donations and hope to reach more people.
I know that there's probably people that would love to do it, but they don't know about it.
Offering a safe and rewarding experience.
If we can't run, we can walk, we can ski, snowshoe, but the main thing is to be outdoors.
And giving light in what can be the darkest times.
This gives you hope and life when it's hard to find life.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.